Hi everyone, reset the question on how to hide a group on a form based on a rule. So I've got a yes no control here and I've got a group that's hidden, so we'll just set that to visible, and we've got a bunch of controls inside it. Now what we want to do is, if this is checked to yes, we want to hide this group. So what I'll do is I'll go to rules, click on add new rule. Now I want to give it a name. I'd say hide group. Now if you were to come in here brand new, you might say, okay, I want to hide the group. Where is the group? Well, this is actually the if statement's the logic. The logic isn't it's the logic isn't on the group. That's what you want to affect. It's not the event that's going to occur. So first you need to think about, what do I want to do? I want to make sure that the yes no is yes. So I select that first, and then I'm going to say yes. Yes or no is checked, or is yes. Then the group, and so I can affect the group through the then or the else, because I can also add an else and do group, and I can say visible, and visible is yes. So I can say if the yes no is yes, then the group visible is yes. Else the group one visible is no. So go back to here, go to preview. You can see the group doesn't exist. Now it does exist, turning it on and off through that rule. So just keep in mind that this is only going to show you things that the user can influence or click with a mouse or enter with a keyboard. And so that logic occurs, and then it's going to do this logic through here. So I'm going to delete that rule. I'm going to show you a different way of doing that same sort of functionality. So again, we'll click on the group, and as you saw before, we've got this this visible property, which is yes or no, and that's called a Boolean state. So it's either yes or no, on or off, true or false. So by default, it's visible. Now, what if I wanted it to be dynamic like our rule? Well, I can click on this tab here, and I could say something like, well, we could put the yes no control in there. So if we come through to here, we go form, and you can see all your controls, and we can see that's a Boolean one. So we can insert that, and so it's always going to return yes or no. So we can insert that, and so there's no longer a rule here. It's all cleaned up, and all we're doing is on this group is putting the value of this yes no control. So we go to preview, check it, appears, uncheck it, disappears. So that's a really simple example of how you could actually bypass a rule completely and just put your logic onto the thing you want to hide or show. Now, it's really good if your logic is today's Tuesday, the checkbox is checked, whatever it might be. But if you want to also do some other functionality, so if we come back to the rule, for instance, if we said if yes no is yes, then I'm going to set the group visibility to yes, and I also want to set the title value to hello world. Now that's not going to work because the function can't set values in a property. It doesn't. All it does is just sets the visibility. So if you're thinking, when should I use the visible property with the insert versus the rules, I would say this is a good way of just doing a very simple piece of logic. If you're wanting to do a simple piece of logic of hiding something and also setting up some values or changing colors or those sort of things, you definitely need to go to rules. So just coming back to here for a moment, we'll come back and have a look at this. So the formula gives you a lot of power and flexibility. You could build up your own variable, so you could reuse that piece of logic, but you can always just do a formula in here as well. You could also just grab your yes no control, because that is a Boolean, so it'll get inserted into there. And there's a bunch of different things. You know, does the form have attachments, for instance? Because that's either yes or a no. Or form mode, is the form in new mode? So that's a yes no. So if we go to preview, it's in new mode, but if I change to edit or display, the group disappears. So there's a bunch of logic you could put in here, like let's go something like an if statement. So you could do a bunch of if statements. If you see my other videos, you can nest as many if statements as you really want. I've never really pushed it too far. Well, some would argue I have, but let's say 1 equals 1. Then if 1 equals 1, then we're going to return true. Otherwise, we're going to return false. So this is always going to show the group, no matter what I do. So we go to preview, and the group's shown. Turning this on and off doesn't make any difference because it's not in the logic. Now if I come back to my designer and I go to the group again, I could say if 1 does not equal 1, update, preview, and it's always going to hide it, doesn't matter, because it's a hard-coded sort of function. It's a bit of a silly example, But you get the idea. You could have something like if the query string parameter equals this, or you could say something like if title, let's go true, or oops, if I could spell, false. And we might say, let's do something even tricky. Let's do contains. And what I need is title. Actually, I need to SharePoint columns. I want the control. So what I do is I might just let's come down here a bit more. Let's say form controls. So I want, and let's check the contains function actually. So contains, I think it says the value and then the string you're comparing against. So text source and text value. So yeah, so contains, and we're going to go to our form and select our control, and then we're going to say contains Ewan. Right, and then if that's true, it's going to return true. Let's just clean this up a bit, and I'll explain it. So first thing is saying contains, and inside the title control, does it contain Ewan? Now, if that's true, it's going to say yes, return the value of true. Otherwise, return false. So let's insert that and see what happens. What I've done wrong is now I can't access my title control. So now we're going to put the yes no inside here, just as an example. Let's go to preview. Now, can't see the group. If I type in Ewan, now it shows. Now if I put tab out of it, it disappears. So that just gives you a different way, a different perspective on how you can do visibility. Hope you find that useful. Let me know in the comments. Cheers.